Stratocaster with a complaint that the ends of the frets were cutting in their hand while playing. They requested a basic fret ingress, but upon inspection it looks like the problem's a little bit more than just a basic fret sprout. So let me get the camera a little closer and we'll take a look. Okay, it's still a little hard to see. It's about the best I can get with the camera here, but if you take a look at this fret right here, you can see light under the edge of the fret. This fret's actually lifting from the fretboard. And if you were to take a look down this fretboard here, most of the frets have one end or the other that are lifting. So this is what we're going to go ahead and try to address today.
Normally when you have this many lifting frets, the best course of action would be a full refret. This allows you to select a fret wire that would be better suited to the existing fret slots, hopefully preventing the frets from lifting again in the future. But with this instrument being more of a budget end guitar, we have decided to attempt to repair rather than replace the loose frets. Before starting this repair, I'll thoroughly clean the fingerboard and then rub on a light coat of wax to help protect everything for the next step. Now this repair, although it's a fairly common method, it should be considered a more temporary quick fix than a permanent solution. What I'm going to be doing is wicking some very thin superglue under the fret from both ends, and then press the fret back down into the slot and clamp it until the superglue sets up. Now the point of this repair is not really to try and glue the fret back down, but to try and fill the extra space around the fret tang in the slot. The hope is that by filling this extra space, the fret will have something better to hold on to, and it will actually stay in the slot. Now as I said, this should be considered a temporary repair. If the slots are loose enough or damaged enough, the fret will basically only be held in by the glue, and that's simply not strong enough to hold the fret in place long term. Now that all of the frets are back in the slots, let's finally take care of those sharp fret ends. I like to start by running a beveling file over the ends to get a consistent bevel and to even everything up. I then follow that beveling file with just a small flat file to make sure that the frets are even with the edge of the fingerboard. Now we can move on to dressing the fret ends themselves. This is kind of where the magic of fretwork happens. First, using the flat side of the fret file, I'll tackle the sharp corners on the fret ends next to the fretboard. The idea here is really just to remove any of the burrs of metal off the bottom of the frets to start making everything a bit more comfortable for the player. After the bottom corners have been addressed, I'll flip the file over and start to round the ends of the frets over. This is where we kind of start and get into that personal preference area of fret end shape. The way I've always done it is just focus on rounding all the sharp corners off and give the fret kind of a worn-in feel in your hand. Now that the fret ends won't slice your hand open, I'll clean and oil the fretboard and then start reassembly. In this case, my customer did not request a full setup of his instrument, but even so I do a once-over on every instrument that passes through my hands. I check all the basics, the truss rod, string radius, string heights, intonation, and a lot of the time I'll check and clean the electronics as well. If any of these are off, I go ahead and take care of it now before it becomes a problem in the future. After all of that fretwork, I play every note on the neck slowly and with a little less finger pressure than normal to check for any fret buzzing. Then it gets a quick play test and back to the customer it goes. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe for more content like this. And if you have any questions or want to know more about what I do, you can check me out at takeguitars.com.